Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and welcome to another episode featuring the 1966 Porsche 912. In the last episode, we talked about the motor, and we installed the coupler and adapter and the flywheel and clutch, just showing you that process. And we wanted to measure what a lot of people call the magic number. Wanted to confirm that the distance between our mounting surface and the flywheel were correct. So once we've done that, now we're going to install the motor in the vehicle, and that's going to allow us to start doing something that's custom. These other components that we've talked about, they are off-the-shelf components, and most of what we're going to do in this series, on this project, is a simplified version of things. In other words, we're not doing a lot of customization. We're basically installing an electric propulsion system that you can do yourself with components that you can purchase off the shelf. And so we're going to continue that walkthrough, but this is one aspect where we're going to have to do some individualization, where we're going to do something that's going to be specific to our vehicle, and that is our mounting system. With the Porsche, we have to have a rear motor mount. The Volkswagens, for instance, all you have to do is bolt it to the transaxle and you're good to go. But that's one of the only vehicles that's the case. Most have an additional mounting setup, and that will be specific to your vehicle. So before we can do that, we have to put the motor in place. We're going to bolt it to the transaxle and support it on a jack, and we're going to figure out how we're going to build this mounting system. And like I mentioned in the last episode, the mount is going to serve a minimum of two purposes. But in our particular case, it's going to serve a third also. And the two are, one, it's got to support the weight of the motor and the transaxle. The transaxle is supported at the front end of the vehicle by a mount, but then the motor and transaxle are supported by a rear mount in the stock configuration and in what we're doing. And then so we got to support that weight, due to gravity. Then we also have to support it against wanting to rotate, against torque. And then the third, so that's common to all your setups. The third one that this one's going to be involved with is we're going to also use that part of that mounting system to mount our battery racks to. There's going to be two saddle racks in the back here, and those are going to be mounted in part to this rear motor mount. So that's the overview. We're going to move in for a better camera angle and give you a little insight as to what we're doing. Well, first I want to jack up the vehicle so that I can get the motor underneath it here. So we just need to jack it up a little bit, get the clearance. We'll roll the motor into place. Okay. Then we'll lower it back down. Okay. So in addition to the rope, which is supporting the back side of the transaxle, we're also going to put a floor jack underneath here to support it also. Then we're going to raise our motor up on our transmission jack here to where it matches the transaxle here. Change the tilt a little bit here. There we go. Get our bolts. Put the nut on for a moment just to hold it in place. Kind of hard to do this and not get in the way of the camera. Okay. Now I'll do the lower ones. Now that the motor is bolted into place, we'll remove the transmission jack. We've got the floor jack that is supporting the weight, kind of at the juncture of the transaxle and adapter. So we'll get the transmission jack out of the way here. It's not needed right now. And we'll discuss what we're going to do in regards to mounting something to the back here. Well, we can see the original rear motor mount anchoring points, one on each side right there. There we go. And so, just at a glance, I can see that it looks like our motor is longer than the stock four-cylinder engine was. So, here's what went in there. And it would go underneath. And there's just no way that's lining up and going to work. So we have to come up with something else. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to mount it on top. So we're going to take a couple bolts here. Through. Okay. So now we're secured with the cross member. Now we just need to attach the motor to this, and we're also going to use this same cross member to attach our battery racks in the rear. But that's another step. First we need to have the motor in place. Then we can get our measurements and figure out what we're going to do with our battery racks. So, we're going to install this piece into these mounts right here. And this will give us a shock mounted setup on this end of the motor. We've got one on the front side of the transaxle. We just need one on the rear side here. So that's what we'll do next. I'll install those. So once this is mounted in place, we're going to need to have something that drops down from here to the motor. And so I've got a piece here that's going to go back in there. Going to mount to the motor here. It's got a little slight bend into it so that it fits properly here. Now we're going to have to move the motor just a little bit to get the alignment that we figured earlier. So another bolt goes through here. And so our nylon stop nut and washer go in the back here. And because I'm just doing this for fitment and so forth, I'm not going to tighten that up. And so let me do the other side and we'll go from there. Okay, now we have this supporting the motor now. So this is going to carry the weight of the motor. And so I can let down my floor jack here. And so now the entire weight of the motor and transaxle is being supported by our new cross member. So this is supporting the weight of the motor, and it's a V shape, so it's actually going to help with torque. But we're going to add one more piece on this just to give it some additional strength and rigidity. And that's a cross member. If I got it the right direction here. Looks like it. The way we have it spaced off a little bit. And it goes like that. Spacers in here. Okay, then we have some bolts that go through here that connect those two together. So what we're left with is a nice, strong, rigid mounting system. That motor's not going to move or twist or anything. And then this piece now can serve as a mount for our battery rack. And so we need to come up with a front mounting scheme as well as the details on the rear. But that's pretty much how the motor is going to be mounted. And we'll move the camera so you can see a little better view. Here's the side view. So you can see we have access to our power connections. We have a nice platform here for anything else that we might want. One of the things that you could do with this type of design is you can just cover all this, and you open this up and it's pretty much just a black hole. You don't, or black shelf, not even a hole. So, gives you an idea. This is something that you can do yourself. I mean, you can always have a piece made, or, you know, depending on your abilities, what you have. You can cut a plate that goes around the back there and do it in one piece instead of multiple pieces. You do want to make sure that you keep this area open here. As you can see, this is all exposed still, so that we have good airflow. We're not restricting that at all. But like I said, the key points with the motor mount are we want to have it mounted in place so that it can't move due to the weight, or the you know, when this goes to move the vehicle, it's going to want to twist in the opposite of the rotation of the motor shaft, the armature. And so it needs to be secured against that, and then it needs to be shock mounted so that you're not transferring vibration and noise through the frame or body or chassis of the vehicle. And so we have a shock mount on the front, the stock one, and then basically using the stock shock mounts from the original engine mount. Just a little different configuration. Like I said, this is just all with you know, stuff that you can use, that you can get from a hardware store and everything. None of this is you know, requires a lot of skill, expertise. It's something that you can do yourself. So just showing you what's possible. And so now we're going to move on to what's possible as far as doing our battery design. All right, here's a shot of 24 batteries, just these right here. Don't pay attention to those. Those are actually going to go in the front of the vehicle. But these 24 need to go in the rear. So that's our our next challenge, is to figure out how these 24 cells will fit in the engine compartment of our Porsche 912. All right, so as I mentioned, in our next video, we're going to figure out how to put 24 of these CALB 100 ampere hour cells into the engine bay of this Porsche 912. That represents about 180 pounds worth of weight. So add that with the motor, we're at about 300 pounds in the back end of the vehicle here, which is just slightly more than what there was originally. We're not adding a huge amount of weight over what there was in the stock vehicle. So, stay with us, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, please don't leave them on the YouTube channel. Send them to us at info@evforyounow.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions. And also, if you want to learn more about all of this process, components, check out our 3-day hands-on conversion workshops. There's 3 left for this year. The only 3 that we even have that you can sign up for at this point in time, and that's June, July, and August 2015. Check the website for dates. Hope to see you at one of those, and hope to see you in our next episode. See ya.